During the war, I was aged 5 when the war started, and it really didn't have much impact on my family or any of us growing up going to our primary school. We sometimes had exercises to do in the schoolyard where we were lined up and each child were given boxes which contained gas masks. We were told how to use them in case of a bomb attack, but these never had to be used, but we all had to practice. Apart from that, we knew very little about the war. And this particular house was built in the 1920s. These houses were put up for commuters.
I remember talking to a lady who worked in Chartwell, who I don't forget how I discovered that she knew anything about the bomb, but anyway, I got in conversation with her, and she lived just below Chartwell in a house. On this particular night in which the bomb hit this house, they suddenly heard this doodle bomb coming over, but it was very close. They went outside and they could see it approaching, and it was much lower than normal, and her father said, "That's not going far." And then it disappeared over the hill, and then they heard this huge explosion. They didn't know it had hit a house, you see, but in the morning, of course, it came to light that there had been this terrible accident. And this was when when all the babies were killed and the nursing staff.
I had seen many horrors during World War II, but that incident was the worst thing I had ever seen, and still is the worst thing I have ever seen in my life. Pulling the tiny bodies out of the rubble of the building that they just looked like rag dolls. I've never had nightmares about anything, but I did after that. I recall the parents of the dead children who had travelled up from London in the days afterwards to begin helping the authorities to identify the dead. Totally devastated people, broken by grief. One young woman arrived to identify her baby daughter and began screaming, "Why? Why my baby? I want my baby! I want my baby!" The lady was clutching one of her child's toys. She was so overcome with grief she collapsed and having to be carried away. It was very hard to come to terms with what had happened, and it stayed firmly in my memory for over 70 years.
So one day he turned up, we invited him in, and after tea he stood on the spot outside by the lawn, and I can still remember the emotion he felt on his face when he realised he was in the place that his mother had died.
The original photograph has Kath and Peter's name written on the back, and it was taken in May 1944, just a short time before Kathleen was killed. We always dreamed of possessing a photograph like this, but we would never have believed it possible. Some wonderful things just come right out of the blue, and you can imagine how delighted we were to receive it.